I am so happy that it's about to be the start of spring because it has been so miserable in Philly with all of the snowstorms we have recently. It finally was nice and in the 60-degree range this last weekend, although there is still snow on the ground from the massive snowstorm we had at the end of February. I also got sick twice this winter, which almost never happens, but I just feel like after going to Katsucon, somehow me and my wife ended up catching the con plague. Anyway, I thought for today's video we could get ready for spring together. I'm gonna do a lot of traditional spring cleaning, refresh my sheets, do a bunch of laundry, probably some vacuuming and mopping, and probably in 2 seconds I'm going to go and clean my makeup brushes. I also think I'm going to do a little bit of decluttering. I think we're going to go out and find some new little free libraries and put some books in there. I also thought it'd be fun to pick out what books I'm going to be reading next. I also have a few ideas of some reading vlogs I would like to start soon that I'd love to get your guys' opinion on for what you'd like to see. So we shall see what we end up getting to for this video. Okay, so I have a pile here of some books that I think I'm going to get rid of. I already did kind of a little bit of a clear out of my shelves earlier on, and I just haven't had a good time to go out to find some little free libraries to put them in because of the aforementioned snowstorms and then me being sick, plus there being such bad weather. I just haven't had any desire to walk around. But I think me and my wife are about to go out with one of my friends for a little Pokemon Go walk, and I think we're going to try and find some little free libraries while we're out as well. I'm going to go through very quickly some of the books I think we're going to bring. I don't think I'm going to bring them all because I honestly don't want to carry all of them. But here's a couple books I think I'm going to be unhauling. We have this copy of American Psycho. This book, Slade House, I actually found this in a little free library and I've decided I don't want to read it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put it probably back in the same little free library I found it in. A copy of The Light Between Oceans. I got this from a fill-a-bag library sale and decided I don't want it anymore. Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress. We read this back in high school. I also recently picked this up from a library fill-a-bag sale, but I don't think I want it anymore. And that's probably all I'm going to take with me just because it is 4 books and I don't want to have to carry all of these for too long. And the other ones I have in here I'll probably put in a little free library at some point in the future as well. And honestly, probably while we're out, I'll also look at all the little free libraries to see if there's anything good that I want to take back and exchange with the books that I'm putting out there. Okay, there's a couple things I wanted to show you guys. First of all, I did the updates in my journal, as you saw. Here's what the finished spread for March is looking like. I also forget if I showed this, but here's some of the like base spreads I've done for the books I read in February. There's also a couple books I did finish in February that I also have to work on creating like bases for that I can then fill in. And there's a couple more details I added to my Game Changers series spreads. I really like the kind of uniformity I did across all of the different spreads for the series. I think they look so good. I also had a lot to say, so I filled in those spreads with a lot of my thoughts as well. I thought we could do right now a little bit kind of a collective haul. Over the last like week and a half, I have bought a couple books online. I also went out and had like kind of a day on the town with my wife. Part of that was we ended up going to a Francesca's location, which unfortunately is closing. They're like completely going out of business and all of their stores are closing, which really sucks because one of the like good staples that I always would get from there was cute earrings. I'm actually wearing one of their earrings now. It's like a hoop with this little beaded flower on it. And they were having a sale of like buy one, get one 50% off. And then there were also some that I think were part of like an old Christmas setup that were buy two for 12. So my wife and I both got a couple. Here's one of the ones I picked out that was part of the buy one, get one sale. And then these are some of the other ones that I got. Can you tell in looking at all of these, I like hearts and gems and bows. That's kind of a common theme for all of the jewelry that I own. So I'm going to be sad once the locations all like fully close and I'm not able to go. Now let's move on to the stack of books that I recently picked up. I got 2 books from Barnes & Noble, and then I also bought a book through Pango. I recently had sold something, and I also had some like just lingering credit on Pango that I thought I would use to buy a book that I kind of was expecting to buy anyway. I'm going to start off with this package that is from Barnes & Noble. Ooh. I ended up picking up the 5th volume of Heaven Official's Blessing. I actually love the color scheme in person. I feel like the image of the art on the website like did not do it justice. It's really pretty. I really love all the yellows and oranges and how that like transitions onto the spine. I think that looks really good. Let's go ahead and look at the end paper art. Very pretty. Oh, and then the art on the hardcover. We have like a full version of the art that's on the cover. Oh my gosh, this one is so cute. This art of Shilian holding Hua-Chang, really cute. So that's the first book. Now let's take a look at the other ones I picked up. We have another one here from Barnes & Noble that has this little like pull tab. Okay, so what I ended up getting was a copy of 5 Minute Murder. This actually is not for me. I'm getting it as a gift for my friend Elaine as like a very belated Christmas gift. I recently saw Olivia from Stories for Coffee talk about this on her channel, and I thought it seemed like the perfect gift for Elaine because I do remember, I think a couple years back, my wife got her a like Sherlock Holmes themed puzzle book as I think maybe a birthday or a Christmas gift. And I was like, okay, I do know Elaine likes this kind of book. I think it'd be really fun. I ended up getting this one over Myrtle because I think there was more variation in like the style of puzzle. So hopefully she will enjoy this. And the last book I got is something from Pango. I really like this mailer. It's so cute. But let's go ahead and open this up. Oh my gosh, this person wrapped this so nicely. Look at this. This is so beautiful. I'm in shock. I did not expect this to be so well packaged. And I really like this wrapping paper. I'm definitely going to save this so I can try and use it in my journal. Okay, that definitely didn't go as well as it could have, but I was able to like kind of open up the bottom and rip that. So I'll just like kind of cut around there to save the rest of the wrapping paper. Oh my gosh, so the book I ended up getting was Twisted Shadows by Ellie Thared. This is the sequel to Liar City, and overall is the second book in the Sugar and Advice trilogy. The third book, which I believe is called Edge of Mercy, is coming out in, I think, around June or July of this year. And since I already own the first book in the series, and I really enjoyed it when I read it, I figured I'm definitely going to probably continue on the series and own all of the books. I also am pretty sure that the second book ends on like a pretty big cliffhanger. So my plan is to read this probably around May to June, right before the third book comes out, and then I'll probably buy the third book either right before it releases or around release day, so that way I can get into it right away. I decided to get this from Pango just because of the reasons I said before. I had recently sold a book and I had a little bit of extra credit already in my account, so this book was basically free. And because I kind of had to, had to spend more to get my special edition of Heaven Official's Blessing, I figured I would save a little bit of money by getting this used secondhand instead of also ordering it from Barnes & Noble. Anyway, really, really glad I picked this one up. And that's going to be it for the little book haul portion of this video. Okay, so I know this is a kind of crazy angle, but basically I wanted to go through some of the books I think I want to add to my spring TBR. Down here at the bottom of my clothing rack, I have a bunch of books I've recently read, as well as all of the books that I have on my 2026 like yearly TBR. So I'm going to pick out some of the books here to like add to my immediate TBR. So I thought I would go ahead and show you some books that I have picked out for my spring TBR. I thought in conjunction with talking about my spring TBR, I would also talk about some of the reading vlogs I have planned for the next couple weeks and sort of show you how those books fit into my reading vlog plans. The first one I have is the 5th volume of Heaven Official's Blessing. I'm doing kind of a follow-up to when I read the first like 2.5 volumes for a reading vlog, and I'm reading now volumes 4 and 5 for another reading vlog. I'm currently like in the middle of this, and by that I mean I've listened to like 1.5 chapters of the fan audiobook, but now that I own it physically, I'm definitely going to transition to primarily reading it this way. Another series that I am currently in the middle of reading that I'm definitely going to do a big like series reading vlog for is I'm currently working through as many volumes as I can of Dr. Stone. I have the first 8 volumes here. I actually have the 9th volume currently available for pickup at my library, so I might go a day and pick that one up. But I'm reading this manga series for another reading vlog. Actually, just earlier today, I finished volume 7, so I'm making really good progress in reading that. Some other kind of random books I picked out from my TBR. I have Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. I definitely know I want to read this sometime in March because we are going to be seeing a production of the musical this spring, so I want to read this before we go see that. And lastly, we have a like somewhat new release that I went and got at Barnes & Noble, and that is apparently Sir Camlin Needs to Die by Greer Stothers. This is a queer medieval fantasy romance with a lot of like tongue-in-cheek comedy in it. I first heard about this book because Greer Stothers apparently runs a pretty popular Tumblr blog. I believe their username is Panger and Grim on Tumblr, and I didn't realize they were particularly popular until I mentioned them to my wife, and she like knew who they were. I had just like seen them talking about some fan art they had commissioned for this book, and I thought it looked really cute and very much like up my alley overall. And then when I saw what the edition was going to look like with like the foiling on the front and the really beautiful stenciled edges, I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it and pick this up instead of like waiting for it to come on my library or anything like that. I feel like a book written by a Tumblr user, I have on principle nothing but respect and love for a fellow Tumblr user that wants to publish a book. And this is a book that definitely through its premise seems pretty interesting to me and something that I would probably like. So it's definitely going on my more like immediate TBR, since I do kind of want to get into the habit of, if I'm picking up a new release, actually reading it close to when I get it, as opposed to having it languish and sit in my physical TBR for too long. So yeah, those are just some of the books I have added for my immediate TBR. I'm trying to decide if I can fit this in any upcoming reading vlog. If I can't, I'll just like read it on my own and then talk about it in a wrap-up somewhere. But I am pretty happy with all of the reading vlogs I'm in the middle of right now, and I'm super excited for you guys to see those videos when they eventually come out. So it's been actually a little while since I filmed, and I realized I forgot to do an outro for this video, so I'm doing it now. This video is probably going out in the beginning of April, so are we still defrosting for spring? Apparently yes, because it keeps going from like 70 degrees to 40 degrees in Philly. So I don't know if the weather has figured out if it's actually spring or not yet. Anyway, one thing I forgot to mention in the intro is this video title is actually inspired by one by Jalissa Rose. Her video was called like Let's Defrost in Time for Spring, which I really loved. Just wanted to give kind of like credit where credit is due. I also just in general really like her channel, so I definitely recommend checking her out. But that is going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this, consider liking, commenting, or subscribing if you aren't already. Consider following me on my Bookstagram as well as on my Storygraph. Both are linked in the description. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and wonderful start to your spring season. Hopefully where you guys live, it's getting a lot warmer than it is for me. But you know, fingers crossed that spring is actually right around the corner. That's going to be it for me today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!